Welcome to No Place Like Home, coming to you on Pinellas County Connection TV. The sponsor of the show is the Housing Finance Authority of Pinellas County. The HFA helps first-time homebuyers in Pinellas, Pasco, and Polk counties achieve their dream of home ownership. Working through a specialized group of lenders, the HFA offers a low rate on its 30-year fixed mortgage and helps with down payment and closing costs, too. Please visit our website, www.pinellascounty, all one word, .org/HFA as in Housing Finance Authority. For more information or comments on the show, give us a call at 727-223-6419. I'm Carmen Lemberg alongside Julian Hills, your host for today's show. Hi, Julian.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's still summer.
It is.
Well, it's my pleasure this summer morning to introduce our guest, Linda Kemp, someone we should all know. She's vice president with Raymond James Bank. Linda's worked in mortgage banking for over 30 years and specializes in first-time home buyer programs. Linda is very knowledgeable and participates in most of the down payment assistance programs in the Tampa Bay area. She has many types of programs available for all types of buyers. Linda currently serves on the board of directors of Tampa Bay Community Development Corporation, Community Service Foundation, Largo Area Housing, and the City of Clearwater Neighborhood Affordable Housing Board. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Linda. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to do today is we're going to pretend Julian and I are first-time home buyers.
Okay.
And we're here to see you for the first time and meet with you. And so we want you to tell us what we need to do and how we need to be prepared to meet with you.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for being interested in purchasing a home. The first step is I pre-qualify you right over the phone to make sure that you're mortgage ready.
Awesome.
The types of questions I'm going to ask you are, what is your gross income? How many people will be living in your household? What do you have for monthly debts? Do you have a car payment? Do you have credit cards with balances? What's the minimum payment? Do you have student loans? Which is very, very important in today's market to determine what the monthly payment will be on those student loans. Have you saved some money? Even though there are down payment assistance programs available, you still need money to work with. So you need money for your deposit, your escrow, your appraisal, your inspections. So do you have some money to work with? And have you ever owned a home before? Very often people will call for information on first-time homebuyer loans, and they may have owned a home in the last 3 years, or they might own a home now. So it's very important to know whether you even qualify for those programs. Also, do you know what your credit score is? Sometimes people know their credit score, and it's not high enough for the programs, so they have a little bit of work to do on their credit scores before they apply for a mortgage.
Oh.
So mortgage ready basically means you have all the assets and money available and the credit.
Correct.
In order to take on the responsibility of.
Correct. And also, have you had a bankruptcy or foreclosure? There are certain time frames that you have to meet, and sometimes people will have had a foreclosure, but it hasn't been 3 years yet since the foreclosure actually took place. Or they've had a bankruptcy, and maybe it doesn't meet the FHA guideline that it has to be 2 years from the discharge date. So are they ready to purchase is the first conversation and the first step. I don't pull a credit report or gather documents until we have a conversation and I know a customer is ready to purchase a home and has got all their ducks in a row.
Now, would that first conversation be over the phone, face-to-face? How would we do that?
I really gear that towards the client. Most of the time it's over the phone. In this busy world, people don't have the time to set up an appointment initially.
Yeah.
Some clients prefer to meet face-to-face, and if that's what they would like, I have them call me, so we schedule an appointment, and I set aside time to dedicate to them to have this conversation. But typically it's initially done right over the phone. And then what I do is send them the application that needs to be completed. I send them a list of documentation that they need so they can gather that up, get themselves ready, and then they can email it to me, fax it to me, or we can set up a time to get together and meet face-to-face.
You know, what are some of those documents that you would require that we would need initially?
Initially, the most important document that you could give me is 30 days of current pay stubs. That's so important to my loan, It's important to the down payment assistance programs that we might use so that I know which programs you qualify for. So 30 days of pay stubs, 3 years of tax returns, because that proves that you're a first-time home buyer, 3 years of W-2 forms, which are the form that your employer gives you at the end of the year. And if you've had 3 employers in the last year, I need all 3 W-2s. Don't forget them. 2 months of bank statements, photo ID, copy of your Social Security card, and a copy of your homebuyer education class if you've been to Homebuyer Ed already. And I encourage people to attend homebuyer education classes very early in the process. Education is key in today's mortgage market, not only for the programs, but to get yourself ready and think about things to ask and do homework to get ready to purchase a home.
So thank God I didn't shred a lot of documents that I have laying around in my house, or we wouldn't be having this conversation
Exactly.
right now.
Exactly. So you sent me the 1003, which is
Right.
the application.
The application,
sorry,
yes.
1003. And so I fill it out at home, and then I email you the application and that list of documents, right?
Correct, as long as you're comfortable with that. Some clients aren't comfortable with emailing and secure, they're concerned about security and their private information. If that's a concern, you can always bring it in to me. We'll schedule a time. I'll make photocopies of your documents for you. We'll do the application together because sometimes that can be an overwhelming document.
Yes.
There's lots of information and lots of boxes on there. Most important piece to that application is where have you worked for the past 2 years? Where have you lived for the past 2 years? Job history is really, really important because we base our approval on job history. That's a big key component. Stability of income. Your legal name, your Social Security number, your date of birth, your bank accounts. Where do you bank? Where do you have your checking account? Where do you have your savings account? Do you have a retirement plan? Those are all things that are on that application, but the form itself can be overwhelming. So some clients prefer to come in and meet with me in person, and that's perfectly fine. I always say, in this day and age of internet and emailing, people still like to know you exist and like that face-to-face contact.
That's very true.
Now, I have a question. So, Carmen and I, let's say we're not mortgage ready at this early stage of the process. What kind of things do you see at this beginning stage that is like a no-starter?
Typically, it's credit.
Okay. What's a good credit score, would you say?
You need to have at least a 640 to 660 middle credit score. Lenders pull credit from 3 credit bureaus. We use the middle score. We throw out the high and throw out the low, and that middle score typically has to be at least 640 to 660 to be approved, especially if you want to use programs.
And both of us.
Yes.
Both of us.
Everybody on the loan. Yes.
I'm good at it.
Yes.
So our credit made it.
Right.
What else?
Your income. We need to look at your current pay stubs and make sure that we can document your income. Everything in a mortgage has to be documented. So we need to be able to verify where you've worked for the past 2 years. Maybe you had a situation where you were paid under the table or something and you got cash. Well, we can't verify cash. So it's really important that we be able to document a 2-year work history. If you were in school and maybe you haven't worked for 2 years, then we would need copies of school transcripts to be able to document that. But documentation.
So let's say I was in school and I just got out of school 3 months ago, and I have a pretty decent job considering I just graduated from college. Will you be able to use my income even though I've only been there for a few months?
Absolutely. As long as it's a base salary, as long as you're not working on commission or anything like that. But as long as it's a base salary, hourly rate of pay, certain number of hours per week, we can use that as long as you can prove that you were in school because that goes to a job history. You worked hard.
Another thing that struck me when you were just talking to us is you said that it's very important that we have the homebuyer education. Why is that?
Right. The homebuyer education, I think, is key to the mortgage process. The homebuyer education classes are 8 hours. They walk you through the process. They talk to you about credit. They talk to you about income. They talk to you about debt-to-income ratios and qualifying for the loan. They talk about home inspections and homeowners insurance and all the many facets of purchasing a home. And I think that education is key to give you the knowledge to be able to purchase a home. It tells you, it makes you think. You don't know what questions to ask if you've never done this before. And so this just makes you think about, okay, I have to shop for homeowners insurance. Where do I find out about homeowners insurance? It makes you just, it opens your eyes as to all the things that are involved in purchasing a home.
It's a great class. So now, Julie and I were very good. We're ready. We had our education. We did our application. We got our docs together, and we sent them back to you. Do we have to be ready to pay you any money?
No, we do not collect anything up front for pre-approvals. When you actually close is when you would pay for your credit report. Once you have a contract, you do have to prepay for your appraisal so that the appraiser gets paid in the deal no matter what. So you do pay us.
I do pay him up front.
We collect for the appraisal up front once you have a contract.
Okay.
Once you've had your home inspection done.
Oh, I got to pay for that too, don't I?
Yes, you do. You pay direct. It's not required that you have a home inspection done, but I'm going to tell you it's the best money you could spend.
Yep.
Because in today's market, the condition of property is sometimes not what it should be for somebody selling their home. So very often a client will have a contract, they've negotiated the price, then they have to have their home inspection done, and they will either go back to the seller and ask that the seller repair some items before they purchase.
Or bail.
Or they will walk away from that property and say that it is just too much work. It needs a new roof. The seller doesn't want to fix it. The buyer doesn't have the money for it. They don't want to get into a money pit. So they need to have their home inspection done. It's usually $300 to $400 depending on the inspector and the size of the home, but it's money well spent. If you walk away, yes, you lost that money, but you didn't get into a property that you can't maintain, and you didn't get in over your head.
So before we enter this process, should there have been some planning? Like, how much money would you say that we should have maybe saved up coming into this process just to get to that point to have the appraisal and some of the other inspections and things like that done?
I would say that a client needs to have about $1,500 to $2,000 saved to be comfortable in purchasing a home. Some of the most stressful transactions I have ever done have been with clients that only have $500, and if it's $600, they don't have the money to close. So you're going to stress, I'm going to stress, everyone's going to be stressed if you're that tight on cash. You know, if you have $1,500 to $2,000, you have the money to pay the deposit on the contract,
That's
the
the
earnest
biggie.
money deposit, and a seller wants, they want to know you're serious about purchasing the home. They want, typically $500 to $1,000 up front. It goes towards the purchase, but it shows them you're serious. So you have to have that money.
And you need $1,000 for the appraisal and inspections.
And that's money that you pay out of your pocket to get into a home. And that's money that we have to verify that you have, and we have to verify that you had the earnest money deposit and it came from your bank account. So savings is really important, even using programs.
Yeah, you can't suddenly show that, oh, look, $2,000 showed up in my checking account
Exactly.
yesterday.
It doesn't work.
How do you do that?
I wish I knew. Wow, that is awesome. So our first encounter is really very detailed and extensive.
Yes, it is.
Is there anything that you think you left out that we should know?
I would say just be as prepared as you can. If you're thinking about purchasing a home and you've been a paper shredder, now's the time to get a copy of your tax transcripts from the IRS. 3 years of transcripts. You can order them online. They will mail them to you. It takes about a week to 10 days to get them. If you're divorced and you don't have your divorce decree, and if you've been divorced 30 years, chances are we don't need it. But if you have children and there's child support, or there was a financial settlement in that divorce, we need copies of the complete divorce decree, including the financial settlement. If you don't have it, now's the time to get it. If you don't have your W-2s and their previous employers, you can get copies of your W-2 transcripts from the IRS.
Oh, good.
Now's the time to be able to get that so that you have the documentation when you get ready.
And one last short thing. Aren't there some things that I shouldn't do during this process?
Absolutely. You should not change your job, quit your job in the middle of the process.
No bueno, no.
If you have a better job offer, you need to have a conversation with your loan officer to find out if it matters. They need to know that suddenly what they thought was your present job is your previous job, and they have to be able to verify that. They need to know ahead of time when you're going to make that change and how long you're going to be on that job, and does the new income still qualify you for the loan and any programs that might be used. So you absolutely do not change your job without having a conversation with your loan officer until you close. After closing, do what you want. But while you've got a loan in process, do not change jobs, do not go buy a new car, do not open a new credit card, do not take on any more debt at all. Don't change anything. Be the most boring people in the world. And I don't care if there's a Veterans Day sale and you can buy free furniture and pay no interest for a year. Don't do it until after you close.
Uh-oh. Well,
We just blew it. We went and bought furniture.
I know. That ottoman was so great for my new future living room.
Color was perfect, right?
Yes. Well, this has been so educational. I'm so glad that we had you in here. So that's it for today's show. Thank you so much, Linda Kemp with Raymond James Bank, for all of that information. It was,
You're welcome.
for anyone who's watching this and interested, there's just in this short time a lot of tidbits that can help out a lot. So we are so glad and look forward to having you, the audience, join us next month. If you missed any part of this show or would like to view past shows, check out our website or catch us on YouTube. I'm Julian Hills.
And I'm Carmen Lambert.
Thanks for joining us and make it a great day. Thank you so much.